Hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Catie Scudera,
And I'm Jenna Crawford.
and we're the ministers serving First Parish in Needham, Unitarian Universalist. And welcome back to our couch conversations. Every month, we film a video of us having a conversation about our monthly theme at the congregation. And for February 2021, our theme is resilience. And I know one thing we haven't we're I don't think we're addressing this in our Sunday services coming up this month. Is we try to get the theme into our worship services, our small group ministries, and our lifespan religious exploration. But one thing that I've been thinking about that we haven't talked about yet is climate resiliency for the climate crisis that's already happening, and it's just going to get worse if we do nothing. I'm very pleased that the United States has rejoined the Paris Climate Accords. But really, we have a lot of work to do. One of the last in-person events I attended before the pandemic was a UU ministers gathering for the Greater Boston area, and we had a presentation by the Climate Crew, great local organization, and they talked to us about what the Greater Boston area specifically is going to be facing in the coming years with the climate crisis. So it was hotter and longer summers, which is a big concern up here because a lot of places don't have AC. Jenna, you haven't gotten to actually spend time in the congregation, the building, because you've been here during the pandemic. But our sanctuary doesn't have air conditioning. That's why we don't even use it in the summer. We just hang out in our reception hall, which is air conditioned. But so it's hotter, longer summers, and a lot more precipitation. Getting a lot of snow already this February. And species loss and replacement is, of course, just like us, really, as we're also animals. The animals can't really adapt to the kind of climate change that is coming. Really, both plants and animals. So it was a stressful presentation, but it really underscored for all of us who were there how important it is for us to focus on eco justice in the coming years.
Yeah, I actually, we've been reading a little bit about climate resiliency in my interfaith leadership class this semester, which makes a lot of sense. So we've been reading about it in this report by the Inclusive America Project called Pluralism in Peril. Because when you think about it, it's sort of the less sexy climate justice advocacy work, but really to be climate resilient, it's all about disaster preparedness and making connections and having partnerships in place before a disaster strikes. So you're not trying to build partnerships in the moment that there is a sort of climate related weather emergency. And that involves a lot of interfaith coordinating, right? So connecting with different houses of worship in town or in the greater Boston area. I was looking through the Climate Crew website earlier today, and they have a great resource that details a map of all the different climate hubs. So different, often it's like a library or a church or a different house of worship that will serve as a shelter or will serve as some kind of resource. Maybe it's just for people to charge phones or something like that when a disaster strikes. And there's this great interactive map on the Climate Crew website showing where the different climate hubs are in the greater Boston area. And just that sort of everyday work of building partnerships and getting ready for a disaster is a lot of how climate resiliency is defined. And so it's just been interesting to see how that work really relates to the interfaith sphere of work and building bridges and kind of creating these connections and just making stronger communities, and how that's really closely related to environmental justice work. It's been kind of interesting to explore in that interfaith class this semester.
That's fantastic that at Boston University in their seminary that they're introducing you. Well, not just it's incredible you have a class on interfaith organizing and connections, but also specifically they're talking to you about how interfaith connections can alleviate some of the worst parts of climate change, that the effects of it as it's happening. I know that our Green Congregations team is really interested. It's an interesting climate hub. I know our Green Congregations team is interested in making more connections with local organizations, both secular and faith-based, for exactly the reasons you're saying. Like what communities have medical professionals, or what communities have folks who know how to rebuild a home, which congregations have air conditioning if we go through a serious heat wave and folks in the town need to get out of their homes and like just go sit in an air conditioned building in the heat of the day. It's I've been very proud of our Green Congregations team for their leadership, both in helping folks in our congregation make more green-friendly personal choices and working on the systemic problem of climate change, really having a very reality-based plan for us of what kind of advocacy work we need to do to curb climate change, but also the reality that it is already here. The crisis is already beginning. So we need to have plans in place. We don't want to, what is that phrase? You don't want to build the airplane while it's taking off. So having a climate resiliency plan is not separate from trying to do the work of making climate change, the impacts of climate change, less severe in our community and around the world. They're really a pair together.
Yeah. It reminds me of a wilderness medicine course that I took a couple years ago. Our instructor would always say, when your name becomes rescuer, because one of the differences between wilderness medicine and like sort of front country, if you're a nurse or a doctor and you sort of report to work and clock in, is if you have the skills to sort of like treat a backcountry medical condition, you don't show up to work and assume that's going to happen. You might just be out with your family on a hike, and all of a sudden you come upon someone who's injured. And so you are prepared with the skills. And so when your name becomes rescuer, just sort of creating that mindset in ourselves and in our communities, that of always sort of being prepared and being connected. So Reverend Catie and I would love to hear from you. You can email us at minister or internminister@uuneedham.org. You can comment on the video wherever you're watching. What are some of the ways that you're getting involved in climate activism? What are some of the ways that you've seen your community try to become more resilient? We'd love to hear from you, and we will see you next month.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.